Hi, in this video I'll be talking about heat pump tumble dryers and if they're worth the investment. Over the last year or so there have been quite a few energy price rises, and I think people are getting fed up of keep paying the high prices. So if you use your tumble dryer a lot, then this could be a really good way of saving energy by going for a more energy efficient tumble dryer. So what I want to do is I want to go through the advantages and disadvantages of buying a heat pump tumble dryer compared to a normal condenser dryer. All I'd normally say just before we start is please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just give us a quick thumbs up, click subscribe. What I do is I talk about household appliances like these. I do specialise in things like vacuum cleaners, and there's normally a bit of tech in there as well. So just give us a quick subscribe, then we'll make a start. Heat pump tumble dryers are not new to the market. This technology has been around in tumble dryers for years, and as a retailer we've sold a lot. But what you will find is that a lot of people probably are not willing to pay the price of a heat pump tumble dryer because they don't quite understand the technology or the savings that can be made. I've got an example of two tumble dryers here, so both of these are from the Siemens range. At the first glance you won't be able to tell which one is the heat pump dryer. Both of them have got the same drying load, so they've got 9 kilogram capacity. Both of them have got things like sensor dry. Things like sensor dry are something that I always recommend. Basically what that will do, when you put the clothes in, it will sense the amount of moisture within the clothes, and throughout the drying process it will detect the moisture content, and what it will do is it will actually adjust the drying time according to how dry you want the clothes. And that technology isn't just in heat pump tumble dryers, it's in a lot of tumble dryers. Even some of the basic vented dryers have got sensing technology, so that's something I'd always recommend. But back to these two dryers. So as I've mentioned, that the capacity is the same, they've both got sensor dry. Both of them actually look pretty similar, but the main difference is that this is the condenser dryer and this is the heat pump tumble dryer. And I do appreciate that prices do change over time, but at this time of recording, the selling price of this tumble dryer, the normal condenser one, is $549, and the heat pump tumble dryer is $649, so there's a £100 difference. And a lot of people will ask, well, why do I want to pay another £100 for a tumble dryer? And really the key thing is looking at the energy label and the amount of energy that they consume. So these energy labels, so the main difference, apart from being printed out different sizes, I've no idea why, but as you can see on the standard condenser dryer it is a B energy rating and it's an A++ on the heat pump dryer. So initially lots of people go, well, that's very good, but I don't really know if that's going to save me any money. Although the letter is a good indicator to see how far up the scale it is, really the key figure to look at is this one, the kilowatt hours per annum. Now on this one, so on the standard condenser you're looking at 616, and then as you go to the heat pump dryer, that's at 258 kilowatt hours. Now a lot of people are going, well, okay, that looks a lot less, it's less than half, but in reality how much is that going to save me? Now a lot of people want to know it in pounds and pence, or dollars if you're in America. So this figure here shows 616 kilowatt hours per annum, so that's giving you the annual figure. And what this does, this averages out, so when they came up with this idea, they've averaged this out at 160 cycles per year, which is just under 3 cycles a week. Now I know on average, for a lot of people, some people use it a lot more than 3 times a week and others are a lot less, but apparently this is the average that a family will use over a year. And what you can do, once you divide that by 160, if you work out how many cycles you would use, I know some people that will use it, it could even be a couple of times a day, so these figures will be a lot higher. But just to give you an idea, so 616 kilowatt hours, what you need to do is work out how much a kilowatt hour of electricity costs in your area. Now at the moment in the UK, prices are rocketing up. On average in this area at the moment you're looking between 18 and 20 pence per kilowatt hour. So if we were to, for argument's sake, say at 20 pence, at 616 kilowatt hours per annum, you're looking at around £123 a year. And then as you go over to the heat pump dryer, at 258 kilowatt hours, you're looking at around £51 a year. So it's 123 against 51. Now for a lot of people, and that's over a year, and that's if you're using it on average around 3 cycles a week. If you're using that 6, 7, 8 times a week, then clearly those figures do amplify, they do get a lot bigger. And what you'll find is that for a lot of people, I try and get back into the concept of the payback period. And what I mean by that is, if I invest £550 into this tumble dryer, into the standard condenser dryer, how long would it take me to get back the extra £100 if I was to invest in the heat pump dryer? So on these ones, if you're looking at, say, around 50 odd pounds and then £123, it's within 2 years that you're going to get that difference back. And clearly, if you are drying a lot more, say 6, 7, 8 times a week, which some people are if you've got a big family, and if you not got access to an outside line or you don't hang your clothes up, so yeah, if you're drying a lot more, then that payback period comes down. You could even be looking at less than a year. And what I try and say is, as long as the payback period is, on the whole, within the warranty period, then it's almost a no-brainer. On these two Siemens appliances, they both come with a 5-year guarantee. So even if you were to only use it for, say, a couple of times a week, then the payback period, even at, say, between 2 and 3 years, is still worth it in my mind. So on paper, it almost looks like a no-brainer to go for the heat pump. And once we explain that to customers, it does normally go down very well, and a lot of people do go for the heat pump, but the technology isn't for everyone. So I won't go into it too technically, but basically what it does is it passes warm air through the clothes, collecting the moisture as it goes along, passes it through several filters, and then it will reuse some of that warm air to pass it through again. So as it's reusing the warm air, that's how it can save a lot of energy compared to a standard condenser dryer. And what it will do is it will actually work at a slightly lower temperature. So as far as the information I can get, the temperature that the heat pump tumble dryers operate at is normally around 50 degrees, and a standard condenser dryer operates between 70 and 75 degrees. So clearly what that means is that with the lower temperature, it will take longer to dry. If speed is of the essence and you want everything to be dry as quickly as possible, because people are using quick programs on washing machines as well, then really things like heat pump are probably not the way to go, because of the program times. They do take longer. As you can see on the energy label, that as an average that shows at 150 minutes per cycle, and that can go up to 225 on the heat pump. So it can take longer, and again, that's something that we do get across to people. One advantage of the tumble dryer operating at a lower temperature of around 50 degrees compared to 70 or 75 is that there's much less of a fire risk. Now, over the years, you will have seen the pictures of tumble dryers catching fire. This is very, very rare, and normally it's where people are not cleaning or maintaining the filters, and after they do the fire investigation, they find that there's a lot of fluff or lint built up within the filter, which is normally at the front here. So it's the same position on both tumble dryers, but as you open the door, it's just at the bottom. So that's really important to keep clean. But really what I was getting at is, because it's operating at a much lower temperature, then the fire risk is a lot less as well. Now, another difference between the two technologies is the amount of moisture or excess hot air that you get within the room. What you will find is, on a standard condenser dryer, during the drying process, you will find that you get a lot of warm air coming out the front of the dryer, and some of that can be quite moist. If you don't have ventilation in the room, then it can get a little bit humid in there. Sometimes it's quite uncomfortable. Whereas you get a lot less with a heat pump tumble dryer, because it's recirculating the warm air. So you don't get as much moist or warm air coming out the dryer. Now, for some people, well, I would assume for a lot of people that's good. I do know some people that have had a customer where they wanted a standard kind of tumble dryer, because they almost use that as heating in that room, because they use the tumble dryer a lot. They don't bother with heating in there, and they use the tumble dryer to heat the room, which I suppose it isn't a bad way of thinking. Again, it's sort of recycling the heat to heat the room up. Also, with the operating temperature of the tumble dryer being lower on the heat pump, then you can find that it cares for the clothes better. Well, despite the program taking longer, because it's operating at a lower temperature, then again, it's not heating the clothes up so much, so it's looking after the fabrics better. Now, something else to mention, which is very important, is the ambient temperature of the room it's going into. Now, for a lot of people, if this is going into a kitchen or utility, then it's inside the house. It is at I suppose on an average, say 15 to 20 degrees centigrade, and that wouldn't be a problem, because the drying time of both the dryers will be pretty much as stated on the energy labels. Now, some people insist on putting their tumble dryer out in the shed or garage, and what you can find that can be a real problem when it comes to the working of the heat pump tumble dryer. If you have it outside, and if for example it goes down to say 5 degrees, then it will still operate, but the main problem is it will take a lot longer to dry. So before buying a tumble dryer, then we always say to people, whereabouts is it going to be located? Because if it is going to be out in a garage, then clearly if it's during the summer months, and if you want to use the tumble dryer, it's not really an issue because the ambient temperature will be a lot higher. As you get to a winter time, then when the ambient temperature is a lot lower, then especially if it's in a garage, personally, despite us being really enthusiastic about the heat pump technology, we'd really say to avoid it, because of the duration for each program would be so long that it's not worth it. I hope you found that a little bit useful on some of the hints and tips to look at before buying a heat pump tumble dryer. I know for a lot of people, if it's inside the house and if you use it a lot, then things like the heat pump technology is really the way to go. It's something I'd really recommend. If it's out in a garage and if you don't tend to use it that much during the year, then personally I'd probably recommend going for a standard condenser dryer. Even though it costs more to run, I just think the working of it is the better way to go. If you have got any questions on the tumble dryers or heat pump technology, then just pop it in the comments below and I'll get back to you. If there's any things that I've missed, I know it's quite a quick video, some of the videos I do are quite long, but if there's anything that I've missed that you think I should have mentioned, then just pop it in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching.